All right, so we're in the Excel spreadsheet, and this is an example of one like I've asked you to do. Now, again, it walks you through step by step as well in the book, and tells you like about using Name Manager, using the data table. It walks you through the formula. So again, use those PDFs because there's that chapter on forecasting and expenses that goes through this spreadsheet right here. And then I think it's chapter 8 that goes through the one about the sensitivity again with a loan. So again, both those PDFs would be really helpful to go with what I'm showing you here as well. All right, so in here, one of the things that, and Roger already mentioned this contribution margin right here, people tend to want to just put the amount in there because that's what they see. And the sensitivity analysis in particular will not work, right, if you don't have the formula. So you have to use the formula of what the contribution margin is. Okay, so it's not a difficult formula, as you can see up there, but you do have to calculate it versus just looking at it. And you're really looking at the fact of what it is minus that price per unit and the Apple commission. So you're really just taking that off there.
Okay.
All right, so does that make sense to you? So in this case, your price per unit, and all I did was take the price per unit times the commission. So I'm taking off that Apple commission and getting kind of what the bottom line is after the Apple commission. So it'd be 69 cents instead of the 99 cents. All right, so that's one kind of important thing that people miss a lot of times. Then when you come down in here, these are just, again, for the data table to work correctly, the key is you can't just type things in. You've got to use cell referencing, and you've got to use formulas. Okay, so all this is equal C5 is saying, well, what are the units? So you would go up here and look at whatever the units are per year, but don't just type it in. You're going to say it equals C5, and that way it references what's up here.
Okay.
The other thing that does is it keeps it dynamic. By doing that, meaning dynamic, it means that if I change it here, everything changes. And that's what you want. So you don't want to look like you got a profit and then had to make a change, and then things didn't change everywhere. It's an easy way to make a mistake if you do something like that. If you have it tied together, if one thing changes, you don't have to worry about having a wrong, looking at something and telling your boss, oh, I have a profit of $4,519, and you really don't. Or in this case, not a profit. All right, so in here, you can see, again, use formulas. So when you're looking, again, at your contribution margin, and in this case, make sure to use Name Manager. If you've never seen Name Manager before, it's basically where you're taking a cell and you're naming it instead of having to use like C7, C20, or C whatever. And if you haven't done that before, if you go under formulas, it has an option to do what's called Name Manager, and this is just where it literally just points at a particular cell. Okay, so like APR, it would point to exactly where it is, and you can create one just by clicking on New, and then if I wanted to do contribution margin, like say for instance here, then I could go ahead and say, well, this is my contribution margin right here. Oops, let me go back into here. So I could point to whatever it was, and it will refer to that particular cell by the name that way. Okay, so does that make sense? All right. So that's Name Manager. So this is all this is saying is that I'm multiplying C20 now, which is this, times the contribution margin, and then I got a figure. I do the same thing with I'm looking at what the fixed costs were. Okay. Okay, so I'm over here with the fixed costs, and then once I have those, then I can say what my profit is. So my profit is now just saying, what are my costs right here, minus from my revenue there, so that I actually get what the profit is for that particular year. So I'm looking at my, D here, which is my contribution margin, and then minus my fixed costs, and I've got the profit.
Okay.
You do that for each year. Okay, now remember that what you're saying here, as each year goes up, you have a yearly increase. So you have to make sure that you're accounting for that yearly increase. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we're working through this, can we use the example one and just retype our own formulas in there, or should we like start our own Excel sheet?
No, use the one I set it up for you.
Okay,
All
okay.
you
That's
have
what I thought. I just wasn't sure.
exactly. And I even have a picture of it, so that way you can make sure, like Roger was saying, you can make sure you end up with the right answer. Okay, so I have a picture of it, and then you enter in the formulas and work through it to reach that end.
Okay, but so our numbers should be like around the same, or?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they should be the same. And so in here, so you know what you're working towards, and you can make sure that way you don't make a little mistake along the way. This right here just is the profit and loss. Okay, so this is just added up here. In this case, we had a loss. Now, here is something that is a little more, I won't say difficult, but if you've never done it before, most people haven't seen a data table before. And a data table is a way you can do a sensitivity analysis. And all it is a little tool in here. So I'm going to show you right here how to do that. I'm going to take this out right here and show you how to get that so that it looks like that. One thing that's very important is a data table uses all the things that are up top, and it does that kind of think of it like a domino effect. Right here in this corner, I have to use cell referencing. Don't just type it in. And in here, I'm saying it's equal to my F25, which is my profit or loss.
Okay.
All right, and from that, it follows the information that's up here, and it uses that to calculate what if I had a 25% increase? What if I had a 50%? What if I had a 75? What if I had 100? And vice versa. What if I charge $1? What if I charge $2? So that's where it gets the name sensitivity. How sensitive is it to price versus the increase? Now to do that, once I set the table up, and I set it up for you, so the only thing you have to do is the data table. You must make sure that you select only the information for the table. So you want to select your dollars and your price increase, but don't accidentally select a bunch of extra cells. You want it to be just the box right here. Okay?
Okay.
All right, once you've done that, then you're going to be able to come up here, and if you go to data, and you go over here to what if analysis, you'll see the option for a data table. You click on data table. The hardest part most people have are figuring out what to put in the rows and what to put in the column, because it's easy to do it. It's only 2 boxes and it's done, right? So what do I put in the row? Well, the easiest way to remember that is to look at the data. You say, well, what is in the row? The row is the yearly increase. So if I go up here and look, I can see that C6 is my yearly increase. All right, so the row is yearly increase. So what goes in the row input is the yearly increase, which is C6. All right, for column, I do the same thing. I go over here and look, and I say price per unit. So this is my price. This is what's going to go in the column. And if I go up here, I look for price. I find price, can click on that, and it's C7.
Okay.
I click OK, and boom, it fills in all the numbers for me. It's that easy. The hardest part is just remembering which one goes with which and where it's at. Now, the red and green thing is just conditional formatting. So I would select the inside of the box this time, all right, and not the sides. This time it's just the inside. And then if I go to home, it's just like any other conditional formatting. And so I can go over here, and I'm going to clear this off just so you can see kind of how. So I cleared that off. And then to create what you just saw, conditional formatting, and I can go to highlight cell rules, and then it says scenario highlighted in green are more profitable than the initial assumptions. So then you can go over here and just do greater than, okay, and then you have to just put in, well, what was the initial assumptions that you're looking for? And so what do you think your profit desired by 5 years would be? 13,000. So you would put that in this case, if I had in this particular one, and then you just change to whatever color you would want, and you have conditional formatting.
Okay.
Okay? Look easy enough?
I guess so.
You guess?
I don't know.
Well, I have it it's in the PDF, and I'm taping what I'm showing you right now, so I will
Okay.
post this so you can watch it again if you need
Oh,
to.
that's awesome. Okay, yeah, that would
Okay.
be great.
Yeah, I know it's hard to memorize everything in one look, as you could say. So I went ahead and hit the record so we could post this for other people may have some questions about this as well.
Okay, and then, so for a Mac, I know Excel's a little bit different, but it should have all those tools, right? Or should I just go to the school and use a
It
PC?
should have these. I have never had a student, I don't use a Mac, but
Okay.
from what I've had students tell me, they do have the data table tool, and you should have conditional formatting with no problem. So I
Okay.
think you're going to have the rest of this usually it's solver, you don't have sparkline, some things like that, but I think you're going to have everything here you need.
Okay. Okay.
The other one it talks about is if you get a loan, but remember, this one works just the way that we did the other one. Okay, so all this is right here, if I put my mouse, this is a data table, and it works the same way. You make sure you have your reference, so it's equal payment in here, and that's what that stands for. And then make sure that you're selecting your table, and then you're doing your data table that way, just
Okay.
like we did before. Okay, these are nothing but formulas, and I actually, in the book they have them, but I actually have the formulas right here. The only thing you have to do then is come in and actually create the formula yourself using the data labels.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So I did, like I said, I recorded this so that you can go back, and I'll post it in Blackboard so that you can go back as you're working on it if you need to look at something again. And don't forget, you do have those PDFs that are pretty detailed as well, that have everything kind of typed out for you. Roger, you did this too. Do you have any other pointers that you would like to add?
Yeah, when you figure out that there's easy ways to do things, it would help if you learned that first instead of doing it and then finding out there was an easier way and having to go back and redo it the right way.
Yeah, well, you're right about that. Although, I will say that sometimes, though, when you find out that when you try things yourself first, you do find out, too, that you learn so much from the things that you kind of explore and experiment with. So, that part. And guys, we still have 10 more minutes. We're still okay here. But yeah, anything in particular why you say when you went back with the PDF, it talked about the data table in the PDF as well. So that should have been one of the things that kind of included there. But yeah, that's the main thing. I guess is read the PDF before you start and make sure that will give you a good overview before you even start. That might help cut through some of it. Do you think that would have helped? Is that helpful to do it that way, Roger? Would that?
Yes. As long as you follow the directions and know that what you're trying to do, I'm just one. I like to type in formulas, so I just figured out the formula that I needed and did that instead of letting the data table develop itself.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And in this case, too, I mean, the data table, as you can see, is an easier way to do it. But, like if somebody long as they had used formulas in there, I wouldn't have took off points for it. But the data table is definitely what they mentioned in the PDF, and it's a whole lot easier way to do it. And it also guarantees that if you have to change something, like if I go up here and change this to 3 years, it changes everything automatically. So the way everything is kind of linked together, it really keeps it more accurate. And yours may too, Roger. I mean, I'd have to test it out because there are other ways that you can do it, I'm sure, that would do the same thing. But this is definitely an easy way to do it.
And also, I think that you need to, on that first page, when it's talking about the monthly or about the annual cost, the fixed cost.
Right.
Notice that what's worded in D17.
Right. Monthly.
And if you're trying to figure out annual cost, you have to multiply that C17 by 12.
Yep.
Okay.
If you don't, the fixed cost will be wrong.
Yep. And that is one thing, I mean, you have to be very careful. You also have to pay attention to yearly after year one. That's another one, because those are the kind of things that can get you. If you don't calculate them incorrectly, you could end up thinking you're going to, your forecast could be very different than what it actually ends up being. Now, the nice thing is I do have that picture I have of it will give you the exact answers. So if you mess up on something like that, at least it gives you a chance to go back and take a look at it and see what happened along the way.
Okay, so that's the instructions page. That's exactly what it should look like when you're finished.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Did you find that helpful, Roger? That helps to have most people really like the fact that they have a picture of it so they know they're on the right track.
Well, once I figured out that I was supposed to be on that track.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get right on the right road if you don't know where the road is, huh? That's true. So, all right, any other questions about that?
I have a question. When you're inserting your Excel pages into the PowerPoint, did you want all three or all two on the same page, on the same PowerPoint page? Like in two different charts, you said?
Yeah, the two charts should be on the same page.
Okay, so it'll be just like split down the middle with the format for the slide with the two up or whatever it was called.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually, let me see, I just looked that up. It is actually called a comparison slide, and on mine it was the very bottom one. Originally I didn't have it, so I went to a regular presentation, used a comparison slide, and then copied it over. And then for some reason, the comparison slide then suddenly magically appeared in the what do they call that thing that we
the layout,
yes, in the pitch book slides.
Yeah, right.
Originally I didn't see it in there, and I may have just overlooked it. But then when I copied it in, then it brought it in. So
made it available. Yeah. Yeah, that's the easiest way, because that sets the slide right up for you that way to do them side by side. And that's one of the reasons I try to get people to use PowerPoint a little more advanced than maybe they have in the past. So some of those things are set in there to kind of encourage you. It's not that it could be wrong to put one per slide, but again, I want you to see some of the features where you could do some other kinds of things as well.
Right. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? You got good questions.
While you're thinking, I have a question. I'm having issues with inserting a new page on my website. I did it, and it listed as being a subpage, but it's not in the column on the left. How do you add it there also so that it shows up there instead of just showing up on the bottom? Because it shows at the bottom of the page as a subpage 1.
That sounds like in the navigation. That sounds like it's set up in the navigation incorrectly. What I would do is just go back to your layout, make sure that you've got that horizontal navigation, and then just delete that one and create a new one right from the home page. Because, sometimes if you go to a page and then you create another page, it'll think it's a subpage of that page.
Right.
So I would delete the subpage and then just go back, make sure first that layout says that you've got that vertical navigation, and then go up and create right off the home page. And that should get you that top level. Make sense?
Yes, I don't know. I'm working on it, trying to see if I can figure it out. But
yeah, do it from the top level, but just make sure that layout's right to start with, so that in case that's affecting it. But usually it's where you're at. If you're in the page itself, like I said, it'll think it's that you want a subpage. Are you okay with that as well, Shannon, as far as the web page? Do you feel pretty comfortable?
I think so. I think playing around with the last project, I think I should be okay. But for the contact us page or for the data collection form, you just want us to redo that Google Docs, or did you want us to create a whole new Google Docs?
No, you could just edit the one you've got.
Okay, okay.
Yep, that's a good question. All right, is there anything else you guys can think of? Pretty good for now?
I think I'm good. I don't...
Okay, well, if you have any other questions today, just email me. I'll be keeping an eye off and on, and we can always talk again later tonight, because I can do like an 8:30, or, you know, we needed to this evening for anybody that would have questions. So, you know,
Okay.
just send me, and if we can't do it by email, I'll be glad to, we can do another video chat that way. Roger, same for you. If you have any trouble, I know you're almost done, so I'm not expecting that you will, but if you do have any other questions.
I'm on create a page.
Okay.
And it says, you know, name your page, and then do you put it on the top level?
Yes.
Or do you put, oh, okay, so you don't put it under the other one.
No.
Right.
Just do it top level. That'll give it right like the other one. So it's kind of, it's the same as all the other pages that way.
But that won't put it as it won't put it in front, because I noticed on some other people's websites that they had other things in front of that first page, you know, like the intro page.
Mm-hmm.
That won't do that, will it?
No, it shouldn't.
Okay.
No, it should be fine. It should be the home, and then have the other one. The other one's just listed in a row. All right. Well, Roger, I'm gonna let you play with that, and because I know we're running out of our time here, it only lets me have 40 minutes. I may have to actually, but if you play with it for a minute, and if you still have trouble with it, just send me a quick email. I'll be sitting here for at least, you know, another 10, 20 minutes. We can log back in and take a look at it if you have any trouble with it. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Shannon, are you good?
I think so. Thank you so much.
I'll post this video, and again, if you need me, let me know. We can log back in later if we need to, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Roger, let me know if you still need me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, bye.
Bye.